everything that you have seen on TikTok. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Daisy. If you are a returning subscriber, you're welcome. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys things that I wish I knew before I moved to Australia. Now, to give you guys some context, I am a Kenyan citizen. I moved to Australia on the 15th of February 2018. Wow. So this year it's officially been 6 years since I moved to Australia, and I can tell you there are some things that if I knew before coming here would have definitely made a big difference. The first thing I'm going to be sharing with you guys is I wish I knew that I wasn't coming to paradise. I was coming to real life. Now, the reason I say this is because where I'm from, right, correct me if I'm wrong, going abroad is like a big thing. Or when I was coming to Australia, going abroad was a big thing. I think these days everyone's going abroad, but at the time it felt like I was going to this amazing place, this land of milk and honey. And Australia is a land of milk and honey, but it kind of felt like we were going to be picking money off trees. And it kind of felt like as long as I got on the plane and I landed in Australia, I was rich. If that's you, if you're coming to Australia soon, or if you're going abroad soon, let me bust your bubble. Life is real out here. Just like back home, you have to work and you will get paid. The only difference is here you do get paid for the effort that you put in, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to put in effort. And if I had come with that mindset, I think from day one I would have been like bang bang bang. And I think also in context for this video, I was 18 when I moved to Australia, so I had just finished high school. I was still very young, and so for me I was still in that young person life. I wasn't thinking about saving money and thinking about doing all these things. And I, by the grace of God, came from a family where my parents didn't necessarily need me to send them money. So me, I was just coming to Australia for vibes. But the more you stay here and you learn about, getting properties, buying houses, buying cars, all that kind of stuff, even just being able to sustain yourself independently, you realize that you actually need to work hard and you need to be sensible with your finances. And so that's one thing I wish someone told me, because I would have come mentally prepared. The next thing I wish I knew before relocating to Australia was that everything was going to feel different, and that was okay. I don't know if this was an issue because I had a different personality type. Right now I'm an extrovert, but when I came to Australia, I was actually very introverted. And for me, a lot of things were scary and I was just scared to try everything. In Kenya, where I'm from, things like crossing the road, like you just cross with the car, you're like, well, the car is crossing, you're doing this, and you pass. Whereas in Australia, you have to press a little thing and then you have to wait and then cross the road when it turns green. All these little things just felt so big to me, and I felt like, oh my gosh, what if I get it wrong? Should I cross? Should I not? Like, even if I knew this was what I was supposed to do, it just felt like, what if I do the wrong thing? And actually, I'll tell you a funny story. I remember when I went to school, because I came to Australia to study, one thing I noticed about Australia, all the microwaves were different. So there were some that had knobs, some had buttons, some had this. And I was so scared to use these microwaves, guys, because I didn't know if I was using it the right way. To the point where one day I remember I carried food and I was so petrified to go in the queue and look stupid. I had my food cold. And I think even just connecting to this point, I'll say it's okay to ask and it's okay not to know. And even if they judged me, at least I would have eaten hot food. But I was always so scared of making a mistake. I was always so scared of saying the wrong thing that I found myself being gripped by fear, that everything just seemed so foreign. So one thing I wish I knew is that it's okay. If you don't know, ask. You're from a different country. Give yourself grace. Some of the things that are in Australia might not be in your home country. It doesn't make you any less of a person. You're just experiencing different things, and that's okay. Another thing I wish I knew before coming to Australia is that it would take me at least 6 months to adjust to some Australian accents here. So in Australia, there's a very wide range of accents. Australia is a very multicultural country, and so there's a lot of accents that you find. But for me, the accent that I honestly struggled with was an Australian accent. It's a specific Australian accent that is just very difficult. So there's the good day, mate, people, eh. I'm telling you, I had a teacher in one of my very first units when I was studying Certificate 3 in individual support. And I tell you, I could not understand what this teacher was saying. I literally would sit in class like, okay. And I would ask because I had a Kenyan friend in the class, and I was like, do you get what this teacher is saying? Because I was so confused, and people would seem to understand what she was saying. People would answer questions, people would contribute, but I was just so clueless. There were some teachers as well who were Australian, but their accent was easier for me to understand. But there's this specific teacher, and I think maybe some of these people are from rural Australia, and so their accents are a bit more thick, and it can take you a bit more time to understand, and it can also take a toll on you because it can in a way also affect your grades, because you're now having to do extra research outside of class to catch up on something the teacher has taught because you probably didn't understand. Now, this is not to derail you from coming to Australia or even enrolling in an Australian school, because it takes time, but with time you understand, and you can always ask people in your class who have a better understanding of the accent about what the teacher is saying. But that's just a heads up for you. You might not understand some of the accents. Okay, another thing I wish I knew before coming to Australia was it would actually take me 5 years to adjust to winter. Tell me why. It's only last year that I went through winter and I was like, this is okay, like I can deal with this. For the past 4 years, I was literally mortified by winter. Like I would feel like winter is coming and I'm like, I can't do this. So in Kenya, we don't have winter, summer, we don't have any of these seasons. We just have the rainy season, dry season. There's no extreme weather. Even if Australia, in comparison with countries like Canada, is better in terms of weather, I still really struggled with it. And even like just adjusting to when I got a car and having to defrost my car in the morning because it was always frosted, I would be wearing like 5 layers in winter, and I'm not even joking. First came to Australia, I think it was the first year or the second year, and I had to take the bus for placement. It was like 6 in the morning. Guys, I was like, I don't know, I do not understand, like what is this, you know? And so I think if you're going to Canada, good on you. I'm telling you, if you're used to the Kenyan weather, it will definitely take you some adjusting. It takes time, but you get there. And especially me, because I live in Canberra, and Canberra is one of the most cold states. Different states in Australia have different weather conditions. I think Melbourne, I've never been to Melbourne, but I hear people in Melbourne saying that in the morning it could be sunny, at lunchtime it's raining, and it's storming in the evening. Like that's the weather in Melbourne. But in Canberra, the weather is pretty consistent most of the time. It can have that weird shift sometimes, but it's pretty consistent. But I'm telling you, the winter, hey, this one is not so much like of a factor. It wasn't so much as a factor to me, but it can be a factor to you, and that is that food would taste different. Like it's very interesting to me that food in Australia, it actually looks the same. What I mean is a carrot, right? But a carrot in Australia might taste different from a carrot in Kenya. And the interesting thing is, the more I've lived in Australia, I've adjusted more to the taste of food in Australia. The fact that I've cooked more in Australia makes me adjust better to the taste of food in Australia. So sometimes I find that if I travel back home, I actually struggle to adjust to the taste of food because I'm so used to the taste of food in Australia, which is a very interesting fact that I thought you guys might want to know. Another thing I wish I knew is that there would be a lot of cultural differences between me and other people, and that was okay. One of the main things I struggled with was my accent, and realizing that I could not speak the same way that other people were speaking. Obviously, my accent did not sound like this when I moved to Australia 6 years ago. I was a Kenyan with a Kenyan accent from Nairobi. But I'm telling you, when you come to Australia, whether you like it or not, you have to adjust your accent. And it's not even a matter of like you're trying to prove that you've moved abroad kind of thing. It's that other people probably don't even understand what you're saying if you're using your Kenyan accent. So you kind of find your own lingo or your own way to morph your accent in a way that's sort of easier for the other person to understand. So when I'm talking to an Australian, I have this accent. This is my Australian accent, if you ask me. Well, it's the accent I use in Australia, speaking to Australia, so to foreigners. But when I'm speaking to my people, my African people, my Kenyan people, I have my Kenyan accent, and that's okay. When I moved here, I really struggled and I had such an insecurity about my accent. I felt like it wasn't good enough. I struggled. I felt like people did not understand me. I also struggled with the fact that I didn't understand some of the Australian slang, so I kind of felt like I was out of place. But you know what? It's okay. You've come from a different place, and you also learn to own who you are. You own your culture, you own the country that you represent, which is actually a beautiful and amazing thing. So don't feel like you have to change yourself, even though you're probably gonna end up changing your accent, I'll tell you that. Last but not least, what I wish that I knew before coming to Australia, or what I would like to tell you before you relocate, whether it's to Australia or to another nation, is that it's going to be okay. And I wish someone told me that, because I came when I was 18 and I just got on a flight and flew thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away from my parents. And in as much as I was coming to my aunties, it was a foreign land. There's probably so many questions in your mind. How am I going to be able to study, balance everything? How am I going to be able to help my parents back home? How am I going to be able to go back home? Am I going to be able to go back home at the time that I want to go? Like, there's probably so many thoughts going on in your head. What's going to be my pathway for my visas? What do I want to do? Do I want to stay in Australia? Do I want to leave? And all I just want to tell you is that it's going to be okay. Just go, figure it out. You're going to be fine. God is faithful. And you know what? Sometimes we don't even realize God is putting people in our path to guide us, to tell us this is what you should do. Go to this agency, buy food from this place. It's cheaper here. There are people who will be positioned in your path. And in as much as you might find people who are not friendly, you will find people who are for you, and it's going to be okay. Another thing I'll tell you, this is not me wishing that I knew, but I'll tell you this just so you know. Australia is actually a very lovely country, and everything that you have seen on TikTok, I don't know where those people get those videos, because I have never seen a snake in my toilet. I've never seen a spider in my bed. I have never seen a snake crawling from the fan. Do your own due diligence. But if you listen to me, those things are not true. Australia is a very beautiful land. Never seen a snake out in the wild. It's a very nice country, very chill, especially in Canberra. It's calm. The people are friendly. So yeah, if you're considering one of the countries that you want to move to, Australia is definitely one that you should consider, and it's not overcrowded. So yeah, I wish you guys all the best in your process of applying for a visa, or if you have been granted a visa, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you if we ever see you. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, or if there's anything you'd like me to clarify, please put it down in the comment section. If there's any other videos or any other interesting facts about Australia that you'd like me to talk about, also please comment down below. And yes, I am glad that you stuck by this video till the end. Don't forget to like this video, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.